And so it was more treating those sort of acute emergency cases when the people were hiding out in the jungle. But as you can see, it's expanded quite a lot over the last 17 years. And now the population that we see is about 50% are migrant workers who are working in and around Mae Sot, and 50% cross over from Burma to access health services here. But the people who cross, because it's not easy to get from there to here, it's not easy. So the people who come wait until they're very, very sick until they get here, because the police will often let them pass. If they realise somebody's really sick, they'll let you go, but if you're only looking a wee bit sick, you might get arrested. It's called the Committee for the Protection and Promotion of Child Rights, because the majority of children who are born around here are effectively stateless. There's no documentation of their existence. So, because no government is protecting them. So what they basically did is they consulted some lawyers from Burma and Thailand and said, okay, if a government was to issue a birth document, what would it look like? And they advised them on how to make an official form, and we're issuing them with no stamp, but because if there's nothing, something is better than nothing. Nobody else is taking responsibility for it, so we're doing it. With the hope that maybe one day a government will recognise it and the children can get proper civilian rights. That's the outpatient department. So we do family planning and antenatal care and postnatal care, prenatal care and postnatal care, as well as we have a preventing mother-to-child transmission program, because we screen all pregnant women who come here for prenatal care for HIV, and if they're HIV positive, we can put them on AZT until the time of delivery.
Does that help prevent the transmission to the newborn?
Exactly. Yeah. So we do it throughout their pregnancy, and for 3 months after the baby's delivered, the baby is also on AZT. And then we have to provide powdered milk to the mother, because it can also be transmitted through breast milk. And so far, of the cases we can follow until 2 years, it's got a 100% success rate.
Wow.
But the problem is, because the population that we work with don't have stable homes, they can't always come back for follow-up. So we lose a certain percentage, and they don't get to complete the treatment. So we can't really say it's 100% successful because of the conditions that people are living in.
Are you getting through to them in terms of family planning?
Yeah, improving every year. In this population, it's easier. In the areas across the border, more difficult, mostly because there's very high infant mortality rates. So trying to persuade people that it's good to control the number of children you're having, when most families have a number of children that will die before they're a certain age, it's not so easy. But in this population, because it's a lot of the people who come here for family planning are migrant workers working in the factories, and it's not easy for them to carry on their work and also have children. So there's a greater incentive for them to use family planning. Most of the people who work here are also former landmine victims. And we make about 200 legs per year. Of that, usually about over 90% of our landmine cases. And then they find a case.
So we send our technician into Burma and we make casting. And after that they bring back to, you can see. So after we finish it, so we take it back inside farm.
You were saying that each of these is individually made.
Yeah.
They can't make them from a mold.
That's for me, so I say in my house, so I don't need to put back.
This time,
Yeah, because you see.
Two main treatment areas with a small operating theatre on the right, and on the left is mostly where we treat some like wounds and injuries. So we see a lot of wounds and injuries related to that are work related, because the working conditions for most of these people are in the field or on this building sites or whatever is not very safe. And then some violence related injuries, and also war related injuries like landmines or gunshot wounds.
How long do they stay here after surgery?
But we need to know the patient condition. Some patient he very strong. We do the operation, we keep it 3 days, we can rest. But some patient a little bit older, but we need to keep it 1 week.
Retired surgeon, who comes here usually about 6 months every year now, and then he trains the staff, especially on surgical procedures. And then when he leaves, they continue to do it. So sometimes people come and they've had an amputation in Burma, but very poorly done, probably because the people who did it had to do an emergency amputation. So they come here and they have to repair the amputation. Together with some of the patients.
We're trying to figure out.
Patients department. We have about 50 beds in this department. Although you'll see when we go around the back, in this season, because it's rainy season, there's very high rates of malaria. And in Mae Sot, you can't get malaria in Mae Sot. That specific kind of mosquito lives in more rural areas. Oh. So nearly all of these patients that have malaria will have come from inside Burma. So here we see a lot of malaria, also tuberculosis, HIV, anemia, acute respiratory infections, and then a whole range of other severe illnesses. Most people when they come, mostly when they come here, because they travel so far, they come with family. So the families do a lot of their nursing. Normally in a Western hospital, the nurses would do, the families themselves do a lot of the patient care. It also means we also have to look after, we have to feed everybody. We feed about 1,000 people per day. Because patients
just
in
their families.
Patients and their families, and staff and their families. So we cook for everybody, 2 meals a day.
You need some philanthropic engineer or building company to come in here and modernize things.
That would be very nice.
She was telling us that a lot of children are left here abandoned, and it's actually an act of love because they can't provide for them. And so the staff adopts children, and most of the staff have adopted at least one child.
Maybe we're getting a little.
Malaria is supposed to be like malaria test, but sometimes if we need emergency blood check, like HIV, but normally mostly malaria.
The work they do with giving glasses, eyeglasses, that's actually funded by the U.S. government.
Lego.